Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. What is going on, good people? Wrapping up another week of Pittsburgh sports news here on this Friday evening, and we got a little bit more to talk about. Not a ton, so it might be a quicker live stream than normal, but that's all right. I'm sure all of us are looking forward to the weekend ahead. Of course, we will begin with the latest going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers here in a few moments. The NFL Draft Combine still on here to my right. One guy who actually had a formal. I was trying to remember if this guy had a formal or informal interview yesterday with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dylan Thieneman, safety for Oregon. He is running his 40-yard dash right now. Comes in at a 4.37. That's a good time for him right there. But as the NFL Draft Combine rolls along, Steelers already interviewing a few prospects there. Started with the D-line 2 days ago. Yesterday, it was mainly defensive backs. But today feels a little bit different. The Steelers having tons and tons more formal interviews today, and it is at a position that I think we all can agree they are going to hit hard and often early on in the draft. Today, wide receivers, the conversation around the Pittsburgh Steelers and who they were interviewing. Tons and tons of familiar names and big names that are going to be bona fide first-round picks, maybe even the latest day 2 picks as well. So the Steelers looks like they are indeed going to go big game hunting here in the wide receiver market. Who they talked to today, more like who they didn't talk to, we will get to here in a few moments. Also, we will talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins and Pirates a little bit. Both of those teams, we got 2 games, one for each of them to talk about. The Penguins last night returning to play for the first time since the Olympic break against the New Jersey Devils. How they fared in that game, we'll talk about a little bit. It was the first of what hopefully won't be too many games without Sidney Crosby, who is going to be out 4 weeks with an injury. And then the Pittsburgh Pirates today playing another spring training game. It's going to be a little bit difficult to talk about that one, get in depth on it. Really no broadcast feed. It was a radio-only game today. Then after that, we'll get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news. Any comments, questions that you guys have, get those in the comment section as well. And we'll have some fun here on a Friday evening before we head into the weekend. Before we get this show on the road here today, want to start off by saying, if you are new here to the channel, welcome to the Steel City Sports Report. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Like this live stream, share this live stream, and in the comment section, if you would very please, any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have, please get those in the comment section. Now, I already had one commenter in here a little bit ago. What is going on, Concepts? If we don't draft a punter round 1, then I'm crashing out. Clearly our biggest need by a long shot. Yeah, Steelers definitely could, use one of their formal interviews on a punter. I'm not sure if Cortland Sweetman's going to hang around much longer. So yeah, draft a first, use a first round pick on a punter. I'd be quite all right with that. And of course, just kidding there. I mean, wide receiver. Still, I think priority number 1 in this draft. I put it above everything else. I know there's some intriguing defensive linemen. Some quarterbacks are being projected to the Steelers, more specifically Ty Simpson. There's a good corner class as well, but still, in my heart of hearts, I got to go with wide receiver, and you got to go overkill, dare I say, on fixing that position this offseason so that you are not going to be in anywhere close to a situation as you were last year, bringing in guys like Adam Thielen and Marquez Valdez-Scantling off the street. I think that made us all sick. So Omar Khan, even when you think you fixed the wide receiver position this offseason, go out and get another guy or 2 more just to make sure for sure that it is fixed. But yeah, definitely need to address wide receiver, not once, but maybe twice in this draft. We'll get to that here in a moment. Also, one last thing before we officially get started. If you feel like it, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Tune back in a little bit later on tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. Already 6 of you in here for this evening. If you want to chime in the comments section, any thoughts, questions, opinions that you have throughout the evening, here, please get those in there. Like I said, starting with the combine. More combine interviews going on today. More workouts being had. Looks like you got Dalton Johnson, another safety right there. And there's Jalen Kilgore out of South Carolina. He is running his 40 right now. But to be honest, Steelers met with these guys yesterday. Who knows if they are even really paying attention all that much to these guys. They might be glued their eyes to the field starting tomorrow when wide receivers do their thing, because today they met with a lot of them. The Steelers having not one, not two, not even 10, but about 14 of their, I believe, 35 formal interviews the Steelers have spent on wide receivers here today. The full list right here. Want to talk about each of these guys just a little bit as we go along here. First two names right here, actually first three names, bona fide first round picks. They might not even be there at 21 if the Steelers were to stick and pick. You got Carnell Tate. Some would argue he is the number one wide receiver in this class out of Ohio State. He got a formal interview today for the Steelers. Same thing with Mekhi Lemon, USC. Not the biggest receiver out there, but I think the Steelers would benefit from a guy of Lemon's skill set sort of profiles out body-wise as what Antonio Brown was coming out of the draft. If he can be half of what Antonio Brown was talent-wise, should the Steelers draft him, that would be a slam dunk first-round pick. Jordan Tyson, another intriguing formal interview for the Steelers. He, another one of those Mekhi Lemon types, not a big go-get-it guy, not a, small munchkin, only speed demon guy. Sort of right in that middle ground is Jordan Tyson. And he actually has a connection to the Steelers, kind of. We'll get to that here in a moment. Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M. He is probably the more track star guy of the group here. Concepcion, Big Blazer, provides some return capabilities as well. Did have a few drops, I believe, in college. So Steelers fans, they might be a little bit iffy when they hear that, because we've seen so many wide receivers with drop issues over the past few years. Deontay Johnson, DK Metcalf, to name a few. Omar Cooper, Indiana Hoosier, really behind him, Elijah Surratt. He got formally interviewed today by the Steelers as well. Surratt and Cooper, two wide receivers from Indiana. Not really sure who's the one or two I want to say Surratt is, but Cooper, excellent contested catch guy. Surratt, more of a work the middle of the field type guy. Both of them looked good, and I guess it's kind of hard not to look good when you've got Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, throwing you the ball. Denzel Washington, a name that Steelers fans, if you're big, if you pay much attention to mock drafts, Denzel Boston, another big body guy, I believe he's like 6'4", well over 200 pounds. He has been mocked to the Steelers quite a bit today, or over the past few weeks. He got an interview today formally with the Steelers. And then the rest of these guys here, I mean, they could fall anywhere between the second round and the seventh round, to be honest. Some guys who I think are going to be, maybe back into the first round, second round guys, besides Boston, Concepcion, Tyson, Tate, Lemon. You got in here Antonio Williams, Clemson wide receiver. He had an all right year for the Tigers for what I've watched from them. Me being a Pitt fan, watched a lot of ACC football. Had a decent year with Clemson for it being a very underwhelming season with Cade Klubnik and all of that. So we'll see if maybe you get him in a better situation if he reverts back to some of his top of the draft class form that we thought he was going to have. Zachariah Branch from Georgia. Georgia just seems to be one of those schools that is churning out, freak athletic wide receivers lately. We got one in George Pickens. Do the Steelers want to go down that road again with Zachariah Branch? Has the talent, but you got to wonder the Georgia mentality, if that is going to play a part in any of the interviews. From Georgia to Bama, Jeremy Bernard, another one here. Like this a lot. I mean, he was really thriving, I think, at Georgia, at Alabama last year. Sort of with the season Ryan Williams had there, the phenomenal, I believe, junior for Bama. Bernard, he really made a killing last year for Bama. Not sure if he was benefiting off of Ryan Williams getting attention or whether he was legitimately starting to take number one reps away from him, but still a good wide receiver nonetheless. Then you got Malachi Fields. He is probably my favorite wide receiver that is not a slam dunk first round guy in this entire draft. If the Steelers, if they could somehow get one of those top 5 guys like Lemon, Tate, Tyson, Concepcion, Boston, and then they go and double dip with Malachi Fields, I will be a very, very happy Steelers fan, because Fields maybe not getting as much hype as he deserves, balled out with Notre Dame. Literally a one-man wrecking crew against my Pitt Panthers last year during the college football season. He is a 5-tool player, can do everything out there on the field, and some team is going to, I think, get really, really lucky with that pick wherever they pick him up. Could be a second-round pick, could be sitting around in the third or the fourth, but Fields is definitely a guy who someone is going to take a shot on in this draft, and they are going to make out like bandits. And then the last 3 wide receivers here that the Steelers had formal interviews here today. Some guys who, you're more looking somewhere in the middle of day 3. You got Caden Wetjen from Iowa, basically a return man only right there from Iowa. I mean, could play a little bit of slot, I guess, but he does make his bread and butter in the return game. DeJon Stribling, former Ole Miss. He's an Ole Miss product. Could he be reuniting with DK Metcalf? I think he said he inspires his game after Metcalf. We'll see if the Steelers go with a Ole Miss connection right there. And then you had Ted Hurst, I believe, from Georgia State, had a good showing in the Senior Bowl. Did Ted Hurst? We'll see if he's able to maybe get in on the Steelers' radar near the end of the draft here. But 14 guys, 14 wide receivers interviewed by the Steelers formally today. Usually we got to wait till I would say meetings, top 30 visits, when the Steelers end up bringing these guys into their facilities here throughout the next month or so. But 14 guys out of, I think it was 35 or 45, 14 guys out of 45 formals, they're wide receivers. That is a ton of interest and a ton of time spent on this wide receiver class. And it just confirms that the Steelers, if they don't go with a wide receiver round 1, if they don't find anybody that they like there, or they're all gone, then they definitely will be spending maybe even back-to-back picks in the second and third round to address this wide receiver situation. Those are a ton of good names. And now we're going to wait and see. Tomorrow, Saturday, they're going to get out there on the field and see who rises up and down the Steelers' ranks here. They also had a few other wide receivers that were informally interviewed, just bump-ins in the hallway. Hey, how you doing? Hey, we talked at the Senior Bowl. Did you learn anything from that? Mizzou wide receiver Kevin Coleman Jr. from Missouri had a good year there. I think another one of those Senior Bowl standouts. And then Deion Burks from Oklahoma. He kind of like Malachi Fields, what I said a moment ago, maybe just because the class is so loaded, he could be, other years a consensus top 10 wide receiver in the class, but this year he might just be on the outside of it, but still mid-value pick if Burks is sitting around there. Steelers pick him up in addition to one of those bigger names. I'd be quite all right with that. Also, few of these guys here do kind of have ties to the Steelers. Jeremy Bernard said he formally met with the Steelers. He probably went in depth mostly out of anybody about what his interview with the Steelers was like. Jeremy Bernard saying he and McCarthy talked in length for a while, talked about family, background, sort of been the vibe we've been getting from all of these wide receivers. McCarthy not going in there asking about the style of football you play, or, maybe something you did wrong in the season and how you learn from it, things that you excel at. It's been all about family, getting to know the person rather than the player. It sounds a little Mike Tomlin-ish coming from Mike McCarthy. So we'll see what he's able to learn about these guys, talking about their families and stuff like that. Seems to be valuing a certain type of person, maybe a tough-willed individual is McCarthy. I would love to have that in a wide receiver. Doesn't seem like Steelers have had too many receivers as of late who have been able to, take a beating physically, mentally out there on the field and stay engaged. Pickens, even DK Metcalf a little bit. So maybe a guy who's going to be a tough-minded individual, them coming in here. Would love for that to happen. On to some, personal connections here to the team. Carnell Tate, of course, Ohio State Buckeye, said he wouldn't mind at all reuniting with his old college quarterback. Will Howard said he misses him. Doubt Tate would be there. As a matter of fact, it's between him and Lemon. One, if not both of those guys, are going to go in the top 10. Steelers would need to jump up in the draft to take Carnell Tate. He was probably, months ago, my favorite wide receiver in the draft. Tate and Lemon are now battling for that top spot right now. But Steelers, they can trade up and get him. I would be very, very cool with that. DeJean Stribling said he watched a lot of DK Metcalf. He also spent some time in Hawaii as a child. Grew up becoming friends with Roman Wilson, Nick Herbig. So a couple of teammates right there. I think that puts Stribling kind of up higher on the list than some of these other, mid to late round picks, when you can bring in a guy who's going to embrace the culture and embrace the teammates, get along with them. I think the Steelers are going to value that sort of familial type of aspect. And then Mekhi Lemon said be pretty cool to play with Aaron Rodgers. Not too much of a connection there. Jordan Tyson, he said that he learned how to be a pro in professional habits at Arizona State University. Who was the wide receiver coach at ASU? Hines Ward. You don't think that Omar, or maybe even before he stepped down, Mike Tomlin gave a call out to Hines saying, hey, this dude's we're seeing is projected to be a first-round pick. How's his mentals? How's this? How's that? I'm sure the Steelers know a lot more about Jordan Tyson than maybe what some of these other teams might, just because they have that Steeler connection there with Hines Ward. But 14 of the 45 interviews so far in this combine for the Steelers. We knew it was going to be somewhere in the 45 to 60 range for Steelers to interview guys. That is a good percentage right there going to the wide receiver position. We'll see if they, interview any more informally, or if we know any more between now and the rest of the weekend. Some also guys getting looked at. You got quarterbacks. We saw yesterday Steelers formally interviewing Drew Aller and Ty Simpson. Two more quarterbacks got formally interviewed today. One that kind of is shocking, but I don't think too many Steelers fans are going to be excited about it. And then another one Steelers fans probably also aren't excited about, but it is kind of an obvious one. I'll start with the obvious one here. Garrett Nussmeier, LSU quarterback, confirmed he had a formal interview with the Steelers this week. That is a big no shock right there, even though Nussmeier had a down year and got hurt at LSU. Did play well at the Senior Bowl, and also his dad, Garrett Nussmeier's dad, he was a quarterback coach for Mike McCarthy back in Dallas. So McCarthy, he probably knows a good bit about this kid more than some other teams, just because he worked closely with his father. I'm sure his father brought Garrett to the facility in Dallas a few times, and McCarthy's gotten to meet him a time or two. Maybe even Nussmeier was a ball boy or something like that. Who knows? But Nussmeier could be mid-round guy for the Steelers. We'll see. I think the quarterbacks, even though it's a weak class, their values always are going to skyrocket here, at least a majority of the time. Nussmeier, is he going to be one of those guys? I don't know. But if the Steelers say they're hanging around their last pick in the third round or whatever, first pick in the fourth, something like that, Nussmeier's still there, they might just say, hey, let's bring in, see what the kid got. Maybe it was just a down year for everybody at LSU and the injuries didn't help. But, hey, I know this kid, tough-minded individual. I know his dad, so I know he's going to get, coaching inside and outside of the building. Maybe that's a McCarthy pick when we get to the draft here in April. And then the other one here, not a guy that I'm interested in, not a guy you're interested in, not a guy that anybody is really interested in. Carson Beck, formerly interviewed by the Steelers today. Praying to God that is a smokescreen because, talking about a quarterback that may go as high as the number 3 quarterback off the board going to the national championship game. Felt like he got carried by that Miami roster, and before that, the Georgia roster could only carry him so much. And then there's some off the field stuff with Carson Beck too. Zero interest from me. Very overrated in my opinion. So don't really want to go down that path. I don't know what any of you out there are thinking, but Nussmeier, I could maybe squint. Doesn't have too much talent, but I can maybe squint and see where the Steelers are coming from that pick. If they take Carson Beck, I have no idea where the hell their minds are at with that one. Seems like the Steelers all throughout this offseason, and it's going to be the same way in free agency. They're going to look for Steeler AFC North type football players. Doesn't feel like Carson Beck is necessarily going to be one of those guys, but we'll see. Draft combine continues here throughout the rest of the weekend. Maybe over the weekend we'll get some news of the Steelers looking at a couple of offensive linemen. Maybe they interview a few guards because you don't know what's going to happen with Isaac Seumalo. A few tackles as well should not be ruled off the board anymore for the Steelers to take high up in the draft with Broderick Jones' neck injury, not knowing how serious that is. So sure, more interviews will be coming here over the weekend. We'll cover those on Monday. One guy who the Steelers won't interview, but very happy to hear what he said today. Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, this is the final thing here, said he does not want to be drafted by the Cowboys. Reporter asked, have you met with America's team yet? Love says, who's that? And then he says, my dad is a Steeler fan, and he doesn't like the Cowboys. So at least Jeremiah Love, he can go anywhere, just hoping he takes it a little bit easy on his hometown team should he face them at all in his pro career. All right, ladies and gentlemen, about 25 minutes or so into the live stream here tonight. Like I said, we're just going to buzzsaw through everything right here. Isn't too much news here on this Friday evening. That's all right. We'll get to the weekend in a jiffy here. Moving over to hockey real quickly after that Steelers combine talk. If there's anything you want to bring up or discuss from the Steelers and who they're interviewing at the combine, please, by all means, get those in the comments section. Moving over to hockey, Pittsburgh Penguins for the first time since the Olympic break, almost said All-Star break there. First time since the Olympic break, they returned to action last night, and we weren't sure how it was going to go, to be honest. Penguins, down their captain now for about a month and going into a really tough part of their schedule, especially the month of March. It is a killer. And then this team, the Pens, they were hot heading into the break. Are they going to keep up that momentum now coming out of the break? Turns out they were. See the final score right there. Pens dominating the New Jersey Devils last night, 4-1. Game wasn't really as close, in my mind at least, as what the score indicated here. Thought it was a thoroughly played game by the Pens, even though it was tied for most of the match. It felt like the Pens were in control, and even if the Devils went down and scored, the Pens were going to go back the other way and answer the bell. Before puck drop last night, cool moment. Penguins fans honoring Team USA, both the men's and women's team. The women's team, of course, the PA announcer congratulating them, fans agreeing. 4 players from the USA women's team developed in the Pens Elite program, so tons of Pittsburgh ties to that team. And then Penguins honoring, all the athletes that went over to Milan. They honored Sidney Crosby and those who took home the silver with Canada. And then knew it was going to happen. Still felt good that he got the pop he deserved. Jack Hughes and the rest of the members of Team USA getting a thunderous standing ovation that lasted a good 20 or 30 seconds for bringing the gold medal back to the United States. So good stuff on the Penguins, blurring the lines between NHL rivalries here to respect Jack Hughes and what he did, scoring the golden goal for the United States. On to the game itself. Cindy Crosby up in the press box, looking down throughout the evening, was pretty much the first guy up there, last guy to walk out of the suite once the game was over. Penguins seemed early on like they were like they needed a minute or so to get themselves going. Ended up getting an early power play, bit jumbled up power play too. It was kind of hard keeping track of the personnel was out there. They were rotating Tommy Novak on. Same thing with Anthony Mantha. Novak ends up getting the first goal last night for the Pens. Chris Letang shot from the point. Tommy gets a stick on it, goes past the glove of Jacob Markstrom and into the net. So 1-0 Penguins. Novak's 12th of the season. Devils ended up tying it up late in the first period, and the Penguins, they should have just, have taken the goal and gotten back to playing. Devils end up scoring. Penguins, they challenged for goaltender interference. I believe it was Jack Hughes or it was Paul Cotter. My bad. Cotter ends up going past the front of the net. Didn't really initiate any sort of contact with Artur Shilovs, and Pens ended up challenging for goaltender interference. They didn't get it. Had to kill off a penalty. It was 1-1 after one. Penguins then in the second period. This is what really had me feeling like, all right, anything gets thrown their way, they're going to be able to overcome it tonight. Not too much offense in the second period for the Pens because they had to kill off 4 penalties in the middle frame. But as they killed off each and every single one, it just felt like when they go back the other way, they are going to end up putting something in the net. You generate so much momentum coming off of consecutive penalty kills like that. Good stuff from the Pens killers who played a lot that period. Then one of those Penguins penalty killers, Ryan Shea, he ends up hitting the crossbar on Jacob Markstrom, pops out to another big-time penalty killer, Connor Clifton, and then he goes bar down past Markstrom, makes it 2-1. Good stuff from Clifton, really a glue guy on the team. Been a very rare you see him score a goal, so that was cool for him. Then the dads took over, and that was all she wrote. Probably 40 seconds after Connor Clifton scores his goal, Yegor Chinakhov gets on a breakaway, beautiful feed up the middle of the ice by Evgeny Malkin. Chinakhov has rockets coming out of his skates, powers his way to the net, dekes out. Markstrom puts it in. He gets a goal for his daughter, who was just born a day or two ago. Same thing for Blake Lizotte. I believe he had another child last week. He ended up getting the empty netter, and there's your final score right there, 4-1 Penguins. They get off to a much-needed hot start to this stretch run between now and the end of March, because you got 2 games, this one that happened last night and the one on Saturday. They take on the New York Rangers, 2 beatable teams. Got to come away with 4 points, because we went over yesterday. The month of March is a gauntlet and a half. You got the Hurricanes 3 times, the Avalanche twice, Vegas twice, Boston twice. It is going to be a real test of this team, even more so without their captain in the lineup. But getting off to a good start, keep stockpiling as many cushion points as you possibly can. That is always great for the Penguins. Hopefully you're able to just stay afloat, maybe even go 500 in the month of March, get Sid back for the playoffs. That is the bare minimum goal right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Also, they'll maybe have to do it without one of their defensemen as well. Sam Girard, we found this out a few hours ago, ended up not practicing today, undergoing evaluations for a lower body injury. So the newest Penguin acquired from the Avalanche a few days ago, he ends up getting hurt, blocked a ton of shots last night too. So even though he's a more offensive-minded guy, he is still very defensively responsible, is Girard. Hopefully it's just a bump and a bruise, not something too serious where he'd be able to miss time, because Penguins, they are going to need all the help they can get without Sid, and going up against these teams, it would be really nice to have all hands on deck. So we'll see what happens over the next few days. The weekend, Rangers Saturday, Vegas on Sunday, and then I think the Pens play 2 games, Tuesday and Thursday next week, and then Friday is the trade deadline. Maybe we come on here sometime next week before Friday's deadline, and we talk about the Pens swinging a big move. Maybe they go out and they get a center to replace Crosby while he is out. Maybe they get another left-handed defenseman if Sam Girard is going to be out long term. They have, trust me, they have the capitals to go and do it. Prospects, draft picks, all that sort of stuff. We've been on here 34, I think, draft picks over the next 4 drafts for the Penguins. So we'll see what they do between now and Friday. Very exciting time in hockey. Pens are back and they're winning, and also trade deadline around the corner. That's going to get everybody a little bit fired up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 7 of you in here right now. NFL Draft Combine still going on here to my right. Looks like safety Jacoby Thomas from Miami just ran a backpedal in transition drill right there. Here's the key Wheatley. I believe he got a informal interview with the Steelers at the Combine. He just went through a drill as well. Maybe the Steelers end up going back to the Penn State well. I know it's been a few years since Joey Porter got drafted. Maybe he and Wheatley have some sort of relationship I don't know about. We'll have to wait and see here in April. To the comment section we go here. Concepts. What's going on, Concepts? How are you? Just finished a long walk with my dog, aka Pittsburgh Pup. Hope everyone is having a great week. Indeed, Concepts. Hoping everybody is having a great week. I'm assuming everybody's going to have a great ending to the weekend right around the corner here. Saw your comment from earlier, Concepts, about punter being drafted in the round 1. Yeah, I think, forget drafting any or interviewing any offensive lineman tomorrow. They should just go straight to the special teamers, interview them. Also, Ball's a little bit shaky last year. Maybe they interview a few kickers as well. Take one of those guys in the first round, like an old Adam Vinatieri, Gary Anderson type guy. Find the next one of them, draft them in the first round. Seems like kickers nowadays are hitting from 60 automatically. Go find the biggest football kicker leg out there. But yeah, wide receiver, definitely the look for the Steelers. Tate, Tyson, Lemon, Boston, Conception, the 2 Indiana guys, some other mid-round guys, Malachi Fields, all guys I am very, very happy that the Steelers are getting to know at the Combine, and it's going to get me even a little bit more fired up if they end up bringing some of those guys on top 30 visits. If they're able to use 14 of 45 or 46 formal interviews there at the draft on wide receivers, I can only imagine they might have somewhere in the 8 to 10 ballpark range of wide receivers they bring in for formal visits, which, I mean, hey, overkill at the position. Overkill at the position to make sure you fix this thing once and for all. If Metcalf comes back, fine. Go trade or sign for a guy and then draft 2 wide receivers. Definitely need to make sure that this problem is over-fixed instead of just, putting Band-Aids over bullet holes anymore. Double up in both ways. Yeah, both signing in free agency 2 guys and drafting 2 guys can't hurt. I mean, Calvin Austin's a free agent. You got Roman Wilson, doubt he's back. Questions about DK Metcalf coming back because of his contract, and the Steelers are now able to get out from underneath it. Ben Skoranek, he probably honestly might be the guy who would be welcomed back the most without rocking without rocking the boat of your plan to bring in high-profile wide receivers. Special teams ace, Pro Bowler, Skoranek, he might actually be the favorite out of anybody to come back just because he's so good at his job other than being a wide receiver. But we'll see here. Just please do not put us through the hell of going and watching MVS and Adam Thielen on their retirement tour in a playoff game anymore. Cannot deal with that. Please, I cannot deal with that. 7 of you in here right now on this Friday evening. You just popped up the commercial right there. Quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers all going to be working at the Combine tomorrow. Want to switch gears one last time here. ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over to the baseball world. Just going to talk about this for only a minute or so here. The Pens or the Buccos in action once again today. No video stream of the game today. They were taking on at Lecom Park the Baltimore Orioles again. They defeated the Orioles in the very first preseason game this season, 6-1 final score right there. Mitch Keller ended up getting the start for the Pirates in that one. He went 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, no walks. Typical Mitch Keller spring training start. Came out hot in his first outing this spring. Looks like he is already in mid-season form. Some guys who contributed in the effort: Brandon Lau, 2 hits. He pretty much was the only starter that really did anything worth note with his 2 hits. It turned into a prospect game pretty quickly. Justinson Garcia, Tamar Johnson, they ended up carrying the way in a 5th run, 7th inning for the Buccos that made it as lopsided of a score as is. Just watching these games, in this case today, hearing them, does sound like the offense is off to one of their better starts in recent years, and I don't think it's too much a contributing factor of it being, the Windy City down there in Florida, Bradenton. You hit the cover off the ball, it's going to go farther and harder than what you would hit in the regular season. But guys who are going to be pretty big contributors to this ball club, they are hitting the ball, the cover off the ball, and looking like their regular selves. I don't think it's an anomaly or some sort of product of them being down south. Brandon Lau hitting 500 here in these first few spring training games. Brian Reynolds, 444. Ryan O'Hearn, 333. Tamar Johnson, 556. Joe Stinson Garcia, 445. Guys who are going to be, if not close to being, maybe even everyday lineup guys in the case of Garcia and Johnson here. Them getting off to good starts, I think very key and pivotal to how this Pirate season is going to go as a whole here. Also, same with this guy here. Sort of a two-way story I'm going with here. You see the banner right there, Bucks winning on and off the field. Off the field, could they get a deal done with a guy who may be the biggest factor into how they do and look in the future? Connor Griffin played a little bit today, got another start. Don't think he had a hit, smoked one really hard ground ball over 100 miles an hour at the shortstop. Nothing you can do there. Hit it hard, but unfortunately went right at someone. Griffin, now the rumblings of him getting an offer for a contract and extension for the Pirates, it is now real. And we don't need to go to other, local reporters, other, smaller writers, anything like that. It is a legit thing now. The big wigs in the reporting world of the MLB, they have picked up on it. Jeff Passan, ESPN, at some point this spring, the Pirates are expected to approach Connor Griffin with a long-term contract extension. And Passan added on, if you want to describe Griffin, you're looking at a Ferrari, not a Fiat. Dude who is going to be good. It's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. And the Bucks, please, if you really want to cap off this offseason with a bang, I will forgive Ben Cherington and Bob Nutting for, maybe kicking the tires on a few guys like Kyle Schwarber. Legit, big changing, game-changing names and coming up short. Ended up settling for like Lau, O'Hearn, Ozuna. Good players, but not true, franchise difference makers. I will forgive all of the shortcomings you've had in free agency this year, maybe even a few years beyond that, if they're able to lock up Griffin for 7-8 years, something like that. Go from the framework in the Roman Anthony deal from last year that the Red Sox signed him to before he played too many big league games, and go from there, because the Buccos, they're going to need Griffin, and they might even reach a point where they're going to need Griffin, as crazy as this sounds, over Paul Skeens someday, a dude who's going to impact your lineup at Mike Trout, Bobby Witt Jr., some are saying Willie Mays as a shortstop levels on a day in, day out basis being in there as your everyday shortstop. If you can lock that up and guarantee him to be here for 7 to 8 years, that will open up and stretch out this window of competing for the Buccos, maybe even beyond if Paul Skeens leaves here someday, because the baseball economic system absolutely sucks. So please get it done. Griffin, a deal will be welcomed very, very much with open arms. Stayed at Lecom Park today for 20 minutes to sign autographs, and it looked like he was nowhere close to done when I'm looking at this picture right now was taken. Pirates fans need this, and if you can guarantee that he will be here and be the difference maker that everybody believes and knows he's going to be for throughout his career, got to do everything you can to get him under a big long-term contract right now, because when he gets to the big leagues and he goes off, then the chances of him being here, for the next 7 to 8 years, they then go out the window, and he might only be here for like 4 or 5, the way the MLB economic system is. Hopefully the lockout fixes that, but I'm not holding my breath here. So please, Charrington, know you're still enjoying some of the praise you're getting for the offseason with the Lau, O'Hearn, Ozuna acquisitions. Need one more big move, big guy. Don't go into your, hibernation for the season yet, or back to your old ways where we're bringing in 4A guys that were DFA'd by an old team you used to work for. Let's get this one last big thing done here. I want you to slide a contract offer in front of Griffin. Even, if you have to leave the dollar figure blank, tell him, hey, with reason, write in whatever you want, 7 to 8 years. Let's get this done, and let's go and compete for a championship here in Pittsburgh. That is the hope. Please get it done, Buccos. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's going to be a bit of a quicker live stream here tonight. Going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news, begin to wrap up shop here tonight in one moment. Before we do that, back here to the football world, comments from Mr. Concepts here. Wide receiver, punter, hybrid could work. McCarthy should make the wide receivers kick balls as a test. Yeah, I would wonder how that would go for everybody except for maybe DK Metcalf. Didn't he have some sort of an ankle thing in the past? Don't want to be stressing the wide receiver too much here. Now, a guy who could really benefit from that, maybe you get a Ben Skoranek. He seems like a guy who'd be able to do it and do it quite decently. Then all of a sudden you got 11 special teams guys capable of tackling out there, not just 10 plus the punter. So maybe Ben Skoranek, if you need him in a pinch, say your punter goes down. Hey, Ben, how good's your kicking? Just outside the box thinking there. That'd be cool. I like Drew Allard's interview and press conference, but not sure how to evaluate that or if it really matters. Your thoughts on him as a developmental pick? How early do you think he goes? I mean, Allard, the way he talks and just off of his athleticism, and big body guy, can, move around decently, cannon of an arm. I think he is going to go higher than what any of us may expect right now. Pretty much with every single guy beyond Fernando Mendoza, I'm saying the earliest I want to look at them is a 3rd round pick, but I know that that's not reality here. The press conference and interviews, I'm sure he's going to blow those guys away, but would take a shot definitely on a developmental pick. Would it be, 2nd round pick? I'm a little queasy on it. Would it be 3rd round pick? Then I'm more open to it, but I definitely think someone's going to take a shot at him. Hell, maybe even some team comes up here, bottom of the 1st round, and then they take Aller off of the development alone. Maybe it's one of these good developing quarterback teams like LA Rams. Trying to think of one here. LA, or I was going to say Chicago, but they got Caleb Williams. Like LA, Stafford ain't getting any younger. Maybe they take Aller, learn under him a little bit, and then boom, you got a freak athlete quarterback ready to slide right in there. I could see someone sliding in the back end of the 1st round to not only take him, make sure teams ahead of them don't scoop him up first thing day 2, but also get that 5th-year option secured on top of it. I'm not going to rule that out whatsoever. Could see 3 quarterbacks crazy go in the first round pick. Someone's going to fly up the rankings here between now and draft night because of what they do at the combine and their pro days. Concepts here: would you be cool with a trade back, acquire picks, early picks for next year? I like a 2027 second to move back to 25 or 30. Could also see a trade up in the second round or a third and fourth for another second. I like where your thinking's at, Concepts. I just don't think... Is someone really going to like a dude that much to give up a second round pick in next year's draft to move up just, 4 to 9 spots? I don't know. That might be a little bit too rich for their blood. If Omar Khan can get someone dumb enough to do that deal, then hey, it would depend on what the board looks like. But if it's, not anybody on there that you would, if there's not anybody on there that you are overly confident in spending the 21st pick on, then yeah, I'd trade back. But I'm not sure if anybody is going to do that. Also, I get it. You want to acquire picks for next year's draft when it's supposed to be a better quarterback class, but there are so many good guys in this draft at other positions. Wide receiver, stacked. Corner, stacked. Defensive line, pretty damn good, especially at edge rusher. Offensive line's got a few guys as well. If you can patch up a couple of holes, what I'm getting at here is I right now would probably get the 4th or 5th best quarterback in next year's draft, sticking and picking wherever I am in the first round. I would get the 4th or 5th best quarterback in next year's draft and make sure I fill all the other holes on the roster right now. Go get a corner 2, a wide receiver 1 or 2, plus another one on top of it, a guard who could, become a starter one day, more defensive line help for Cam Hayward. I'd rather do all that and not lose any picks in this year's draft than I would, trade my picks, trade my high picks, fall deeper in the draft, not get a guy that I want, but hey, I got ammunition for a, second or third best quarterback in next year's draft. Does that make any sense to you? I'd rather have quantity filling all of my errors and holes in my roster than have a quality guy filling one role stupendously, but all my other roles are question marks still. Hope that made sense trying to talk through it with you here. Trade back only if multiple players they like are available at 21. Yeah, that could be a situation too. Don't see it though. I mean, wide receiver, you probably are stretching it to think Lemon, Tyson, or Tate will be there available at 21. Then at that point, you're looking at Concepcion, Denzel Boston. Maybe there's a couple corners there as well. Might just, end up taking one of those 2 wide receivers at that point to make sure I guarantee to get one of them, because I don't want to fall. I'd rather, if I fall back, only to pick 25, cool. But I don't feel like falling all the way back to 30 and then having someone come from the second round and jump up and take them. What are your thoughts on Ty Simpson's arm strength? I know he's 6'2", 208, maybe more. Decent build, small stature. But Bryce Young has been solid. Some Bama fans love him. Arm strength, average. Maybe even slightly below that arm strength. I mean, Bama fans, they do love Simpson, but still, first round pick. It's all with me about the context of where we're talking about drafting him here, because he's going to be a first round pick, it seems like, from all the projections and all the analysts talking and all that. But I mean, still just too raw of a prospect for my liking here. I mean, as a guy as a first round pick, it seems like every single year nowadays, first round picks are going to get thrown into the fire in the NFL before they're truly ready. And then it ends up stunting their development or completely destroying it altogether. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. He's case in point number 1. But Ty Simpson, if you end up bringing Aaron Rodgers back and you even play Will Howard over Ty Simpson a little bit to make sure Simpson gets some seasoning on him before he goes in there, I'd be much more open to the idea of taking him in the first round if he does that, but definitely not, come in here and, hey, immediately you're in competition for the starting role here. Not in my world right there. Do I like that? 6 of you still in here on this Friday. Like I said, gonna wrap up the show here in a minute. Extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day. Just gonna buzz through this real quickly. There is not much, to be quite honest with you. There's a few extra Steeler stories, a few Penguins ones as well, and then one baseball one to end it up. To the Steeler stories, got official confirmation today of what the payment is going to be looking like for 5th round options to be picked up around the league. 2023, the 5th round options for this year, you got quarterbacks 37 million, running backs 11, wide receivers 23 million, damn near 24. Offensive linemen though 23, a little around 23.5 million. Not sure how it projects out here. That was with one Pro Bowl, no Pro Bowls here. Broderick Jones, he is the guy for who's due up for a 5th year out of the 2023 draft. Should the Steelers pick up the option, it will be $19 million for Broderick Jones. It sucks that he has a neck injury, but the neck injury now coupled with you need to pick up $19 million and pay it to Jones if you wanted to pick up his 5th year option and exercise it. I think we all know that is not going to happen. Not going to happen whatsoever. Also, Dallas Cowboys today, they officially franchise tagged George Pickens, so let the drama begin in that department. I'm sure we'll all be paying attention to that one, especially THP, who's in here. Who's in here a good bit. Back on to the hockey talk here for a second. Apparently, the NHL today announced that they will host a 4 Hockey Day celebration in Europe coming up. I believe. When is this? For the first time, the NHL will host 4 Hockey Day celebrations in Europe, with events heading to Sweden, Czechia, Germany, and Finland starting this weekend. So this is a watch party here going on over in Europe. The Penguins and Rangers, they will be that game will be watched coming up here this weekend on the 28th, and then other games beyond that. So I thought it's cool. NHL, besides the Olympics, looks like they're putting even more of an effort on growing the game. Gotta love it. Also, last thing here on the Penguins, Stuart Skinner seems like he most likely going to get moved before Friday's deadline here. Skinner, his name popping up in trade talks over the last couple of weeks per Frank Saravalli. Saravalli on top of it. There's a bunch of teams that are saying, well, if the price was right and if there were no strings attached, then maybe Montreal, maybe the Senators make sense for Stuart Skinner. Maybe even the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that the Penguins are going to face 3 times after the All-Star break in quick order after the trade deadline, I should say. You want to trade Skinner there, Dubas? Not saying that I want you to trade him to an in-division rival, but if you can get another 2nd round pick, maybe even a 1st, if a team is truly desperate for goaltending out of this, then pull the trigger. I think it's time we get Sergei Murashov a look up here in the NHL. Artur Shilov's doing fantastic. Also has team control on top of it. Does Artie Shilov's. So move out, Skinner. Glad to help you rekindle some good hockey in you, but right now you're not going to be worth really anything to us this time next year, because I doubt the Pens re-sign him. I would be cool if they kept him, just for playoff experience, but if they end up moving him because expiring deal here, give Murashov and Shilov's the matchup in competition for the goaltending crease. That would be some spot-on work done there by Kyle Dubas. And the last thing here in the extra Pittsburgh sports news for tonight, according to John Heyman, MLB Insider here, looks like we have early estimates for what the suggested payroll and salary cap and salary floor could be set around the MLB, should there be one implemented in the next CBA. The salary cap ceiling, according to Heyman, in the MLB, looking at it in the $260 to $280 million range. The floor would be around $140 million, 160 at the highest for the floor. I'm more preferable to the 280 million cap and the 140 million floor. I think you're going to need to bargain with the players at least a little bit here. They're going to fight to the bitter end to make sure that there is no cap and that they can still get paid as much money as they want. But having 280 as the ceiling, 140 as the floor, it feels like there's just enough space to make the players happy and feel like they can continue making buku bucks, but also feels like it's still pretty damn close to keeping things competitive here, where you don't have the Dodgers as a $500 million payroll, and then the Pirates and that are barely scraping over $100 million here. So we'll see if where the cap projections end up settling when we head into the lockout here in 2027. But first things first, the owners, they got to end up fighting to make sure that we get the cap in the first place here, which I'm still skeptical that it will ever happen here. But let's hope and pray. Let's hope and pray. I think that is just about going to wrap things up here for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Taking one last stroll here through Twitter, seeing if there is any last minute, last second news stories. Penguins, they did hold another practice today. Mentioned Sam Girard was not a part of that. The power play lines in that practice, top unit, Carlson, Rust, Malkin, Raquel, and Mantha. The second unit, Letang, Kindle, Chinikov, Tommy Novak, Justin Brazeau. So still pretty decent squad there without Crosby, but obviously you would love to get 87 back in the fold. Hopefully he's able to be a quick healer and make it back to us sooner rather than later. Just please, Pens, stay alive between now and then. Not seeing if there is anything else here. Not seeing too much. Seeing a video here. Looks like the Rangers and Flyers met up last night, and Trevor Zegras doing some bitch-made actions again, slashing Will Coley of the Rangers in the face. First time I'm seeing that. I absolutely despise Zegras. I still want Mulachari to get his lick back from a few months ago when Zegras trying to give him some blindside punches to the back of the head. Let's wrap up here the show with the comment section real quick. Concepts here again. True, not thinking of round one, but lack of quarterbacks may elevate him. Good point. No way round one unless the scouts are in love with him. Major risk for sure. Just when is the last time that you can say a very inexperienced college quarterback ended up going to the NFL and turned out all right with his first team? Tell me, because I legit can't think of one right now. It feels like anymore the way college is, they're all about winning in college instead of actually developing players for the next level. NIL certainly helped put developing players on the back burner here. It feels like you almost need to be a super talented yet experienced college quarterback to immediately have success coming into the league, or else you're going to need to sit for a while, maybe even bounce around a team or two if you're an inexperienced guy coming out of the draft. So that's what really worries me about Ty Simpson, that he is going to get thrown to the wolves before he's ready, on top of, maybe overdrafting him in the first round because it's a weak class. So yeah, just not a big, I'm a big Ty Simpson person fan, but not a big, drafting him where he is for the talent and as much time and seasoning you're going to need to put into him. Never saw Malik Willis falling to round 3, so who knows? Him in the second or third may be interesting. Yeah, going back, well, I mean, that was that draft. I mean, this draft class for quarterbacks, it's bad, but it's not absolutely abysmal like that one. So we'll see here how far Simpson falls. Not even all that confident saying he'll go ahead of Drew Aller, which is kind of crazy. So maybe he does fall further than what any of us expect. Do we play Chicago this year? Broderick needs revenge big time. Do not think so. Yeah, I don't think so because we played that division, the NFC North, Vikings, Packers, Lions. So I don't think they're on our schedule this year. Appreciate you playing along with the punter humor. Yeah, hot take. Stafford, better quarterback than Brady, always was. Since you mentioned LA and Stafford, no one could win in Detroit, and he overachieved anyway. Yeah, I mean, definitely did overachieve in Detroit. Took that city out of the doldrums a little bit, and then Jared Goff, I think, helped along with that or continued on that mission after that trade. Better quarterback than Brady. I mean, maybe like thrower of the football, Stafford is, but I mean, Super Bowls are Super Bowls, man. I respect both of their careers. Good point on the trade back. Thought the draft will have to fall in an unrealistic way for that to be plausible. Yeah, just want to plug as many holes in this draft as possible, and we'll worry about, getting the picks and prospects required to make a trade up in next year's draft for a quarterback. I just need a safety, need a corner. Defensive line help is always welcomed. Maybe need a guard, need a wide receiver or two. That's what, six picks right there. 1, 2, linebacker as well. Don't want to forget that. Need as many picks as you can here in good picks. Right now, the Steelers have 5 in the top 100. Right now, I'm leaning more towards spending all 5 of those things rather than, trade one away to get a pick or two in next year's draft, or trade, back a few spots and risk missing out on a guy who could legitimately be a long-term fix for one of these needs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, think that is just about going to wrap things up here for the night. Looking at the screen here, defensive backs still rolling along at the combine. Lorenzo Styles, I think brother of Sonny Styles, who just lit up the combine yesterday, the linebacker from Ohio State, he just went. So we'll continue watching along with the combine. Going to be totally honest, I didn't even make my way entirely through watching the day one workouts yesterday, trying to get as much notes and evaluations as these guys as possible. We'll continue to do so between now and the 84 days until the NFL draft. But we'll definitely watch live tomorrow, see what's going on with the wide receivers, and we'll come back, talk about evaluations on those guys on Monday, talk about anybody else the Steelers interview. We'll talk about how the Pittsburgh Pirates do over the weekend in their other spring training games, and then the Pittsburgh Penguins as well. They will be in action twice over the weekend. Got 2 games against the Rangers, and then on Sunday, that March gauntlet begins with the Vegas Golden Knights. So here's to good things ahead for our Pittsburgh sports teams, because they're going to need it in their own unique ways. Steelers need to plug holes in their roster. Penguins need to keep winning with sit out, and the Pirates, they just need to look like a team that's actually going to give a crap about winning. So I think that's going to do it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you all for tuning back in tonight and throughout the week. This was fun. We'll be back here on Monday. It's going to be a bit different week next week, to be quite honest with you. We'll be back Monday like this, talking about the latest in what goes on over the weekend in Pittsburgh sports news. Other than that, the span between Monday and Friday next week, not entirely sure how that's going to go. We'll be live Monday for a live stream just like this, and then Friday, definitively know what we're going to do there. We'll be live in the afternoon for the NHL trade deadline. Maybe even we'll be live for breaking news before that if the Pens make a big move. But NHL trade deadline We'll be live for that on Friday afternoon. We might even be live Friday night covering Team USA baseball as they begin World Baseball Classic play against Brazil. But yeah, just Friday, Monday, pretty much know what we're doing next week. The middle ground between that, who knows? So as stuff goes along, I'll keep you guys posted. But I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight and throughout the week. On your way out, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Again, like this live stream, share this live stream in the comment section. Please leave a comment, anything that comes to mind after the show here tonight. And for the last time, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Come back a little bit later on tonight for SCSR 60. I'll get to work on that as soon as we're done here tonight. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Friday night and have a good weekend. See you back here on Friday for more, or back here on Monday for more Pittsburgh sports news. Peace.